What is up, guys? Pie Muffin here, and we are back with another Trails in the Sky, the first video. So, I haven't really made any news videos in a while because there hasn't been a ton to talk about. Any news that's kind of come out has been a pretty small in scale, both for Beyond the Horizon and Sky First Chapter. But we did get a huge info dump last night. And I wanted to wait till everything was out and kind of translated before I made a video. So we're just going to go over everything right now. So first things first, I don't know if it's going to be in this. It got announced a couple days ago. The actual release date for Trails in the Sky First Chapter is September 19th. So a little over 4 months from now, the game will be releasing, which of course we'll be doing a full playthrough on the channel. As we have with all the other games. It's kind of funny because, obviously 3 or so, I don't even know if it's been 3 years yet. It's probably been a little over 3 years that I started doing my kind of replays on the channel. I had played through the entire series up through Daybreak 1, which obviously hadn't been released in English yet. I played through Daybreak 1, and then I decided, you know what, why don't I'm doing this YouTube thing, why don't I just do a full series playthrough? And that's when I started that back then, since obviously there was a bunch of stuff getting announced that was going to be coming to the West. We were going to have the full series playable, so I was like, you know what, I'll get started. I got through all 3 Sky games and then waited for Zero, and, the rest is obviously history. And we've obviously played everything on the channel from Sky First Chapter, or Sky FC, to differentiate from this, all the way through Daybreak 2 we have on the channel, and then of course this fall we're going to be having a double whammy with Sky First Remake, and then as well Beyond the Horizon, which they do have an Amazon listing for October 31st. Obviously it's not coming out on October 31st, that's just a placeholder, but that does make me think that October is likely going to be that time frame. So we're going to probably have back-to-back months of new Trails releases. So if you're a longtime fan, you're going to be very busy this fall. But let's go over everything we have. So September 19th is the release date. A week earlier than Falcom usually releases their stuff, but maybe they just decide on something different since this is going to be a worldwide release. So first things first, this is all Japanese stuff, by the way. Gung Ho hasn't, as far as I'm aware, Gung Ho hasn't tweeted anything about the new stuff yet. I'm sure they will within the next day or so, because there's some DLC and stuff like that was announced. So I'll be curious to see how the West is going to handle that. But yeah, so there's this thing called the Bracer Box in Japan, which is basically just going to be the, I guess, collector's edition of the game. It's going to come with a bunch of stuff. So we'll just go over that real quick. So it comes with a mini soundtrack like all the collector's editions do. Bright Family Memorial Photo Album, so new artwork of scenes we've obviously seen in the original games that we'll obviously probably see again in the remakes. Obviously, Estelle, a lot of Estelle and Joshua when they are younger. This one right here is just straight up pulled from Sky Third, so we'll probably see that again in the third game. Downloadable content costume, classic Estelle and Joshua. I'm not sure what they mean by this, because this is obviously already the costumes that we see in the game. But I don't think they're referring to this, by the way. So these are obviously the normal costumes for the game, as you can see here. Oh, okay, so they're like very minor differences right here. Okay, so her shoulder pad's a little shorter. Okay, so they basically are... Okay, I see the differences now. Okay. Yeah, and obviously he's got this like silver plate on the side as opposed to the first version where they just kind of made it even. Okay. You can see the small differences there. Okay, so you get that. You get an antique bracer pin, which is obviously the bracer pin that Estelle has when she starts her... Well, they both have when they start their journey. You get an encyclopedia for the Libero Kingdom. And then this is going to be... This isn't part of the set. This is just a pre-order bonus. As far as I'm aware, I don't know if this is for this specific edition, but the original sprites from Trails in the Sky that are obviously in the game are just going to be giant costumes you can put over the characters. So, like, similar to how in Daybreak 2, you have the Mishi costume for Van that you can put on. This is kind of like a similar thing to that, where it just kind of covers the character's entire body. It looks very silly, and you can even just have the body part on and take the head part off. You can see Estelle's smaller head right here in this cutscene right here. Now they're just explaining the plot of the game. There will obviously be more DLC, by the way. I don't know if they have all the DLC shown here. We'll scroll to the bottom. If they don't, I'll pull up the other DLC, because there is other stuff. There's a like a swimsuit costume for Estelle and Joshua, and then Estelle gets what's called a Neo Bracer costume. That's also going to be some form of DLC, but we'll if it's not in here, we'll go over that later. So now they're just kind of going over the characters, who's going to be voicing which characters in English and Japanese. I don't know if Kyle Herbert has always voiced Cassius, because I don't really follow the English cast super deeply. So, like, obviously Cassius comes back in Cold Steel 4, and obviously has some English lines, because obviously before that, you know, he only ever appeared in the Sky games, so he didn't have an English voice before that. And then I don't know if we're going to look this up real quick. I'm not going to do this for every character that's going to be listed here, because some of them we can kind of talk about, but I want to look up to see if they recast Cassius. So I'm just pulling it up on my phone real quick. Cassius Bright, okay. Okay, yeah, so they did recast Cassius, and it does look like Kyle Herbert was always the voice of Cassius. So I guess in Cold Steel 4 he voiced Cassius, and obviously Kyle Herbert's, you know, a very well-known voice actor. I personally know him most as his role as adult Gohan in Dragon Ball. But yeah, cool. So obviously, yes, Cassius is Estelle's father. We got Professor Alba, and both of... Okay, this is one more I'm going to look up, because obviously those who have played these games know that Alba is a pretty big deal. So let me just look up Professor Alba. Okay, he did get recast. Okay. So it really does seem like, besides the biggest names, so like obviously Olivier has not been recast, just because Koyasu is such an iconic voice for that character, I guess, that they didn't want to change. Even though I feel that way about all the characters, but it is what it is, I suppose. We got Aina. Very nice to see Aina again. Obviously, we haven't seen Aina since Sky Third. That was literally the last time she was actually in a game. She's been referenced, but the last time we've actually seen her. Niall Burns, I mean, this one, of course, Niall was going to be recast because his original Japanese voice passed away, which is presumably why they haven't brought him back in future games. But now that they're doing this remake, there is a chance we could see Niall again in a future title if they wanted to have us go back to Libero or whatever. All right, so Niall, very cool. Dorothy, very cool. We got Josette. Josette, I will look up real quick just to see if her English voice is the same, because it really doesn't seem like any of the English voices got recast. It seems like everyone in English is the same. I'm also just curious if her Japanese voice is different as well. So let me see real quick. No, they did. Okay, so she is recast in both English and Japanese. So, when Josette came back in Cold Steel 3 and 4, she had an English voice that isn't the same as this one. I guess they could have just wanted to go for, like, a younger voice. And then, of course, you know, they did recast her Japanese voice as well. So I'm just going to assume everyone on here is probably recast. Okay, and that's everyone. Now they're just kind of going over what Orbmans, Libero, and everything else are. We can just look at some of these screenshots, you know, get a good look at the world. Very, very cool. This is obviously the Malgamine that we first go to in the game. I won't go too deep into that, just because who knows who's going to be new to the game. One of the towers, Perzel Farm, very cool. They're going over the combat system, so normal attack, crafts, dodge. So dodge is obviously when you're out in the field, I assume. Attack after dodging will morph into a jump attack. Yeah, so it's literally the Daybreak system. Daybreak through Horizon system. Link attacks are making a return. Obviously, Daybreak does have its own kind of version of it, where it's kind of just like, you know, if you're standing next to a character, you know, the character you're using will strike, and then the character that they were linked with will also do a strike, but it's not like a true Link attack with an animation like this. Yeah, quick battle is good against inferior enemies, obvious stuff we know. Get some good more screenshots here of different things, arts. Obviously, yep, you've got all the different Link attacks, and it looks like they have the... So yeah, they've got follow-up attack, they've got chain attack, which is between two characters, and it looks like they do have the burst attack, which is similar to what they had in... Well, the Crossbell games had a version of it as well, but then you also had the crazy one in Reverie, which had like eight characters attacking at once. Okay, talking about orbments. Here's the status screen for your characters. Oh, and we do have a... okay, so they don't have it here, so let me pull this off. So I can pull up the DLC costumes real quick. One second. It's just gonna take me a second because I thought they might be in here. Okay, here we go. So let me just... Boom. There's one. Boom. There's two. We already obviously showed off the other, like the big-headed costume. So there's only 3 others that they've shown off so far that I want to show off here real quick. So let me just switch screens real quick. There we go. All right, so this is Estelle's Neo Bracer costume. So as you can see, it kind of looks similar to her Cold Steel 4 one. Like, you can kind of see that kind of undertone of it. But then she's got this just red vest thing that she kind of just wears over it. So that's kind of cool. Second one is she has a swimsuit outfit. Pretty cool. She's got sunflowers on her sandals, as well as her arm. I assume the other arm has one too. And sunflowers on her head as well. And then we also have a summer costume for Joshua here, which also looks pretty cool. I mean, this is obviously just the artwork. Like, this isn't how it's going to look in-game, so we'll get, obviously, a better look at it once the game is actually closer to being out. And I'm sure they're not going to be the only 2 characters getting DLC. I'm sure they're probably, at the very least, there's going to be a summer outfit for everybody. So Shara, Agate, Tita, Zin, and who am I forgetting? That's everybody, right? That's 5 people. Shara, Tita, Agate, Zin. No, I'm forgetting somebody because that's only... Oh, Chloe. Sorry. But yeah, Chloe as well. So I'm sure they're all going to at least, like, that'll be one set is just going to be the beach outfit. And then maybe each character will have their own individual stuff. There's also some in-game costumes that some of these characters have at specific portions that I assume will be unlockable once you pass that certain portion of the game. But yeah. So now let's switch back. There we go. Alright, so now last thing we're going to just look at real quick is this right here. There's no audio, but here, I'll just open it on YouTube, actually, because it'll be easier to see. So they're just showing off some of the combat real quick. This will be the last thing before we kind of close out the video. You can see they're fighting some Poms and some other monsters in the action combat, and then switching to the turn-based combat. It's very much reminiscent of how the Daybreak/Horizon gameplay is. Same thing with the turn-based combat, looking like that as well. We get some Agate animations right there. Counters, obviously, if your opponent misses. They have 0 arts and all that good stuff. And yeah, it all looks pretty good from here on out. We got Joshua's craft that we saw in one of the earlier trailers. Very, very cool. And then you can do your follow-up attack with whichever character is supposed to be linked up. And there you have it. So that's pretty cool. Very, 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 very much excited for all of this. So let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know how excited you are about Trails in the Sky the First and what you hope to see in the coming months. Hopefully we get an actual story trailer to, hear some of the new voice acting for both the English and Japanese cast as we get closer. Probably sometime in July, I imagine we'll get something like that, plus the opening for the game. They're probably going to do a new opening in the style of the Daybreak games, with the CG animations. So I'll be interested to see that as well. So that's going to be it, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe more if you're new to the channel. I'll see you all next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.